I'd like to do a garden tour today and show you the gardens around my house. And it is a lovely morning, so let's go. I think I might go ahead and put my hair up real quick. So some of the gardens I'm going to show you today are quite small still. And they're still growing, stuff that I just put in this season. Others are several years old and have grown and are filling in nicely. So if you see here, this is our little rock path here. Yesterday I threw some rose petals down. I like to do that when a rose is done, and I just take the petals and throw them out. It just looks pretty. I enjoy it. I've been cutting lots of roses and putting them in the house. Oh, and they are amazing. These ones here are my knockout roses, and they've gotten quite tall this year, taller than normal. I've been cutting them back a bit and cutting the roses and just putting them in a vase in the house. This one here is my yellow knockout rose, and it has a fragrance, which I do enjoy. The red ones do not, but they are pretty. If you see here, these are the pansies I put out in the fall, and they're still looking very pretty. Of course, eventually when we get into the very heat of July and August, they'll start dying back, but for right now I'm still enjoying their cute little pansy faces. And if you look, I've got peppermint popping up here. This is a peppermint that I have had here for, I'm trying to think when I did my first garden tour. It might have been 4 years ago now, maybe 3. That's when I put this in. And I loved it. It filled in this whole area here. And then it got those beautiful, tall, purple flowers. When the peppermint starts to kind of look ugly and die back, I dig it up as much as possible so that it's not taking things out, because peppermint, any mint, they're very vigorous and they can overrun a bed very quickly. But I still enjoy this one, so I keep it here and just kind of keep it tamed. So if you see, you look, so peppermint popping up here and there around the rocks. This is the creeping thyme that I started from seed, I would say a few years ago. You see it's filling in nicely. Eventually I can kind of come cascading over the rocks. And I put it all over. I have more in the greenhouse, and I'll be putting those out as well. The goal is to cover the ground with things that I like, so that I'm not having to battle weeds so much. This area is filled in really well. I've got 2 azaleas. I think this is a pink one. My butterfly bush over here. I had to cut it back quite a bit because it was getting so large and too large for its root system, and it was kind of pulling itself out of the ground. So I had to cut it back quite a bit in the spring, early spring. And these are these hydrangea bushes that have gotten quite large. I have several other hydrangeas that I planted them all at the same time, but these have gotten very large compared to the others because they get good full sun here. And this particular hydrangea variety likes the sun. And I have another azalea right here. And my lily turf goes all the way around. This stuff is spread very quickly. Lily turf does. But I'm okay with that. I like this border because it's so vigorous that it really drowns out any weeds. So when I'm mowing, I can just mow around the lily turf and I don't have to get out the weed whacker. As much as I love rocks and rock gardens, which I still have a few, like this one here, these hydrangeas here will get white flowers, and they're quite large and long. This here is my little rose garden, and I've added several roses this year. I've got my iceberg rose that I got last year here. This is just a bush iceberg. It's not one of the climbing varieties. And this one here, I can't remember the name of it, but it has a very, very strong fragrance and a beautiful pink flower. I got 5 new rose bushes this year. 4 of them I got from Costco. I love the colors and the fragrance of the This one here is called New Day. I watered things yesterday, so things got a little bit droopy. But it has a lovely fragrance. I really like this one. I would say this one is my favorite. And then I have the Blue Girl. I cut the roses though and brought them in because they were just so gorgeous and they smelled so good. So this rose here, it's still small because this is its first year. But the rose is a very pretty, I would say, lavender colored purple. And it has your traditional rose scent, but with a hint of lavender, and it's just absolutely exquisite. I couldn't get enough of it, and I can't wait for this to make more blooms because I like cutting them and bringing them in the house so I can enjoy them. Now this one here, I can't remember the name of it. It's a different name. I want to say it's something with an H. Haloeke. I don't know. I'll look it up. But this one has a pretty kind of coral pink. I've been enjoying those too. They kind of pop up in a cluster. And this creeping thyme here is really taking off. I'd like it to take off along here. Thyme can be a good deterrent for pests. So we'll see how that works this year. I'm not looking forward to the Japanese beetles flying in. I'm gonna have to figure something out because those guys are, they can wreak havoc so fast. Hello, Beagles. What are you doing, pretty boy? Hey, what you doing? What you doing? So if you come over here in this section, I've got 2 crepe myrtles that I got from the Harbor Day Foundation 4 years ago, and they were tiny. They were like little twigs, and they've gotten huge. They will get pretty pink flowers. And I like this because there's a bit of a tunnel here, you see. I'm kind of going to let them grow to the point where it is a bit of a tunnel and you can walk through it. I like tunnels. It's just kind of magical. In this area here, lots of toads out today. I watered a lot yesterday because we haven't been getting much rain. Hello. I'm seeing a lot of fat toads. Come on. So over here, I have another one of those hydrangeas that has those pretty pink flowers, but you see it's quite a bit smaller than the ones that I have going on over there, but it's still doing good. These are my Japanese snowball bushes, and they're gonna get quite large. I plan on this area kind of being a little wild and very full. So I've got this guy here, and this is just one of these traditional hydrangeas here. It's still small, you see. This is the kind that can either get pink or blue flowers, depending on your soil. Here, I have very acidic soil. I always get blue flowers. If you have very alkaline soil, then you'll have pink flowers. My grandma over in California, she has the pretty pink. I could get this guy to be pink. I would just have to put some lime down on there to make the soil a little bit more alkaline. And this guy here has gotten the biggest. And in the fall I've been working on, it looks like I need to do a bit of weeding. I did some lily turf around here. And I mulched up this area a lot with leaves. I'll be getting more mulch as well. Just some cypress to put down thick. And I plan on putting some hydrangeas right here. There's a type of hydrangea. It's a hydrangea that has different colors. It's not just one color. So I'm going to be getting those for right here. These are all my bushes, and I put them in one of the first things that I did when we moved here. It's got different types. This variety gets a pretty pink flower, but with that last frost, it really killed off all the blossoms. It's very sad. Like this one here has some pretty pink ones, and I guess I'll have to wait for that next year. And I have some azaleas mixed in. Some of the ones are I have 2 that are the older variety. It's a white azalea And that's the one that has a fragrance, and it is lovely. I went ahead and took clippings from those, so I have many that I have out in the greenhouse garden area. I'll be transplanting those very soon. I'll show you where I'm going to be putting them. Eventually I'll have them all the way down my driveway. This year I'll be probably taking 200 to 300 clippings from my white fragrant ones, and those are the ones that I want to go have all the way down my driveway. And my driveway is quite long, so I'm thinking I'm going to need at least 100 on each side, but I haven't really calculated and done the math yet. This is my wild lily turf path. It's gotten crazy. I've had to clear some of this out, and I've been moving it in other sections. You see it used to be this thick, and then I've been slowly kind of clearing it over here, moving it in other garden beds. Here's my little frog friend. I love frogs and toads, and I have a thing for little frog and toad statues. In fact, there's one that I really want to get at the antique store, and it's a frog playing a banjo. I will probably end up buying it. But I just put a few begonias right here. Marrow has a tendency, as you see, to lay on my plants. They would be doing a lot better right now, but what is. I have my thyme here, and then just a little rosemary plant. We'll see if it takes off and does well. My last rosemary plant got very large, and then all of a sudden it died off. It got sick. I'm excited for these sweet potato vines to take off. And I love sun patience. In fact, I probably will get more of them. They're just too pretty, and I love the color. This is a section that I just got started, so everything's still very small. I've got my begonias here, and then in the very middle, I have a little tiny hydrangea. I've got many hydrangea cuttings that I took last year that have rooted and done very well, and I've been putting them out, and I've got, I guess, 6 more that I need to put out and creating more beds around the house. My goal is to eventually have a mixture of hydrangeas, azaleas, rhododendrons, anything that I can just put out in the forest, and it just kind of takes off. They just naturally do well out here in my area. So if you see my tiny little hydrangea, she will eventually probably turn blue. I have to put this right here because I'm worried Morrow might trample her. I got this cute little snail the other day. I just couldn't resist. So let me show you something that I'm sad about. So, one of the things that was here when we first moved here, well, 2 of the things, were these hydrangea bushes. Now, they were quite small when we moved here, but they have grown. This one here gets a pretty purple flower, and this one is blue. And they used to be very huge. This whole section here was just full of hydrangea. But when we had that warm weather in February, they started getting all their growth already. And then we had that hard frost in March. It just totally killed them back. I was worried if they were going to come back at all. They are coming back, especially here at the bottom. I went ahead and pruned off a lot because I just had all these ugly sticks hanging out that were dead. So I'm still very upset about this. I think what I'm going to do is when it's time to prune them again, I'm going to just go ahead and cut them way back and shape them, because right now they're not nice, pretty round bushes. They're just a bit wild and sporadic. So I don't think I'll get really any blossoms from them this year, which is sad because this is one of my favorite things that I enjoy cutting and bringing into the house. This is my blueberry patch. I have 19 of them total. The first row here is several years old. And then these ones I just got this spring. I don't want this to be a depressing gardening tour, but that frost killed off all of our flowers, so we're not getting any blueberries either. Oh man, it's okay. That was the most random weather. We're just not used to that kind of weather out here in Georgia. Oh, look at We got a couple blueberries going. You see? I've been having a new ground cover pop up here and there. If you see how they look like little lily pads? This is a ground cover called Decandra repens. I think that's how you pronounce it. And it does well in the shade. It's fine getting its feet wet, so I find that it often grows in areas that maybe don't get as good drainage. But this stuff's just popping up everywhere over here. Then I have some growing out there in my vegetable garden. But I actually really like it. In fact, I bought some. And I decided that's the ground cover that I'm going to put underneath my Long Island cheese arch, because the Long Island cheese gets so huge it drowns out all the sun, so the grass and the Dutch clover die off. But this stuff is totally okay being in the shade. So I went ahead and threw that out. It's already popping up. That way we have a pretty nice green ground cover there instead of mud. My backyard is slowly coming along. There's a lot more that I want to do, but baby steps. These here are all azaleas, different colors, different pinks basically. And this plant here, I don't know what it's called, but I took a clipping from somewhere, and because I thought it was pretty, and it's just growing like crazy. You see? And then this is a different clipping that I got, and I honestly don't know what it is, but it is also taking over. But these were blooming well. They'll bloom again, probably in the fall. These ones in the front are my ones that I put out, I guess last year, and these two in the back are several years old. This creeping Jenny over here, this is its second year in this pot. And then another sun patient, but it's doing really well. I really like creeping Jenny because it is a perennial, semi-evergreen. It does die back a bit in the winter. This bed here, I've got two snowball bushes in the middle. These little bushes here, I always forget the name of them. I have got 3 of them going around. They're still small. In fact, I'm going to cut them, kind of shape them a little bit. They're kind of getting a little wonky. They're one of the first things to start blooming. In fact, they start blooming at late fall, and it's a pretty yellow flower. And then, of course, I've got the lily turf going around here. This is our area where we like to smoke meat. Nathan has gotten so good at it. In fact, for Mother's Day, that's pretty much what we did. He smoked some pork all day, and it was to die for. It was delicious. So we've got the pergola going on here, and Nate wants to eventually expand it, so we'll have the pergola on the other side too. I have some old-fashioned azaleas going around. These ones have a pretty salmon color that I have 2 on the edges. This one blooms a pretty pink. I've got more creeping Jenny down here. In fact, this creeping Jenny used to be in my hanging pots. I'm looking for some new coconut husks for the inserts. I've been having a hard time finding it for this exact size, because I want to do creeping Jenny again. Because last year I did creeping Jenny and they got so long that I almost thought they were close to making it to the ground. And when they got root bound, I went ahead and transplanted them down here. This is my Alberic Bobbio rose. I'm going to be working on training it up. I think I'll go get some twine probably today and kind of start wrapping it around, and it will eventually kind of cover this pergola. I have 3 of them here. This one here, they're still small. This is their first season. From what I've heard, they grow quickly, and they're very disease resistant and a pretty easy rose to grow. It is an English rose. When it first buds, it's a pretty creamy yellow and then goes into a lovely white. I can't wait for those to just cover this thing. I can picture it, especially when we expand the pergola. Now here's one of the new beds that I just created. This pink ribbon going around is not very beautiful, but I kind of have to keep it here. Our golden retriever, Morrow, this has been her playground, and I've had to reseed the grass. This is the second time I went ahead and put more seeds out, because she gets wild back here. So I'm trying to train her from not doing that, so I have to keep these guys protected, otherwise she'd probably trample them to death. But these are different types of hydrangeas that I got. So this one here, well, I think it's this one. I got two at the same time in the same box, and they both got all mixed up. So I have two. There's the Invincible Limetta, which when it first starts to bloom, it's a lovely lime, transitioning into a lovely white. And the heads of them are supposed to be quite large. Same with this one. It's called the Incredible Blush, and I mean, they get huge. They're like bigger than your hand. And I love blush pink. It's one of my favorites. So I was hoping to put the Invincible Limetta in the middle here. I'm not sure which is which, so we'll just kind of see how it goes. Because over here I have... This one's called the Heartthrob. So it gets a really pretty red color. Now these three in the front don't get that large. They should get to be about 3 to 4 feet wide and high. But this back one is going to get up to 6 feet high and wide. So I kind of gave that one more space. This one's a candelabra hydrangea. So it gets those nice long kind of pointy flowers. And it changes colors. So at first, you see it's kind of that whitish pink. Eventually in autumn, we have more pink to the flower. So I'm very excited for this area to start filling in. I think it's going to look lovely. I'm working on creating more beds out here, so we basically will just have cute little paths where we can walk through and not much ground cover. So from here, I'm not sure if y'all can envision this, but from this patio, we're going to have a concrete path going all the way out to our smoking area. Now, one of my favorite flowers are giant calla lilies, and I really want a path that is lined with calla lilies. So this year I'll be working on that. Nate's going to help me. We're going to do the concrete path. I'm hoping we can get to it before the heat really sets in, and then I'll get a bunch of calla lilies to line this area, and I want them to start to spread, so eventually this area during the summer will just be thick with calla lilies. That's how I picture it being. And I'll probably put some Hydrangea repens back here too, because it stays low to the ground, and I think it will complement the calla lilies. From here, all the way across to about here, we want a hedge of white azaleas. And then we'll have a nice little walkway, but probably a pebble path that goes down to the stream. So I have all those azaleas. In fact, I'm hoping to get to it today, where I'm going to put them all out. They're still small, but again, I'll probably have to put some sort of protectant like this pink, beautiful ribbon here to keep Morrow from accidentally trampling them. But I want to go ahead and get those going. They do grow semi-fast. Morrow's chasing something. What are you chasing? Don't eat any frogs. No, 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 no. Yes, it's a poor frog. Let's save you. She ate her first frog recently. She got all foamy of the mouth, but apparently she has not learned her lesson. You're gonna leave that poor little frog alone, okay? Come on, you. This is my knockout rose section. I'm not super happy with how these have gone. In fact, I plan on uprooting them when I cut them back in the fall and placing them, taking them and placing them to go around my strawberry patch here. I'll probably put 2 in each section, probably a little ways out. And I want to put something else right there. I'm not sure what yet. I want something that's going to look pretty all year round, and the knockout roses die back in the fall winter, which wasn't the case when we lived down at Columbus, Georgia South. They were just beautiful all year round, but not up here. So I was telling y'all about my fig tree here, how it is having issues with ambrosia beetles. When it got shocked from that last frost and it killed off of all of its new growth, those ambrosia beetles, they smelled that and they came and they attacked this poor thing. But luckily, this fig tree must have been healthy enough that it was able to fight it off. So it's not dead. It's coming back, y'all. I'm not seeing any more ambrosia beetle damage. So I think it survived. And this is something new that I got. This is something the girls have been wanting for a while. but I wasn't sure how well they do up here. We're in North Georgia Zone 8A, but this is a banana tree. This banana tree said that it does grow in our zone, and you know what? It's doing really well. It keeps shooting out more and more leaves. Since I've gotten it, it's put out at least 3 leaves, and now it's working on the 4th one. It's looking really good. This section here has more of the white hydrangeas, and then I have got quite a bit of creeping thyme. They should fill this section nicely, and underneath the trees I'd like to have areas like that where I've got different types of hydrangeas. That's one of the reasons I wanted to get different colors of hydrangeas, is that way I can propagate those too, and we'll just have more of a variety around. Back here is a section I'm just starting. I've been mulching it up heavy with grass clippings so the weeds aren't popping up, and we've got 3 little hydrangeas growing here. This is another section here that I'm doing that with as well. I put 4 of the hydrangeas here. I'm not going to worry about the back section yet because these 2 trees will be coming down and they'll be going in that direction. So I'm not planting anything on the other side yet. I don't want them to get squashed. That is going to be it for today for the gardens around my home. I'm going to be heading out to the vegetable garden and doing a tour out there, but that's something that you'll see next week. It's looking good and things are growing fast. I think this video is going to be long enough, so I'm going to split them up into 2. All right, y'all, take care, and we'll see you next time.